Well, fun Saturday afternoon in Timmins, and great crowd, great energy. I thought the crowd really affected the game, especially when we went on that run in the second half, and just always fun to see, the attendance on Saturdays, and I thought the energy in the arena for the most part was great. We started making some mistakes there late, and it was kind of like what's going on, but then we had to do to close the game out, and really proud offensively, just how we're moving the ball all of a sudden. I mean, it's amazing to go from what we saw a week ago with very little movement and a bunch of bad shots to the last two games of just guys trusting each other and playing with one another and making shots easy for one another. I think in the first half we were 1.33 offensively, which is that's incredible, especially versus a team like ETSU and how well coached they are and how hard they play. But a lot of guys I can go through the line on, Carter Witt, just really, really proud of him. And man, his growth, that's what we do, to see what basically looks like a completely different player, and I think a year ago today in the Greensboro game, he didn't play any. And to see stick-to-itiveness, and to see somebody fight through hard and just continue to embrace improvement, to watch him play right now, I mean, it's fun. And, I think with the ability that he and JP now, that's last year you look at it, JP and Mike, downhill. When you got two attackers out there, you got two guys that can really get in the paint and can really put threatening penetration on you, and we got guys that can space and play off of one another, makes it a lot harder to guard. And I thought he did a great job there. It was nice to see G, play with some confidence. He had that stretch in the first half where, felt like he couldn't miss. I think he scored 10 in a row. JP thought he, that was classic JP in that second half, just got going. And his leadership tonight, just getting us in the offense. He made a couple play calls, which I absolutely love. I absolutely love that. Slaw used to make a couple play calls, but typically, in those situations, they're looking at the bench. But to see him thinking the game and getting us in what we need to get in, and thinking through things like that, that's the leadership that we really want to continue to develop. And I thought offensively we were really, really good today. I thought defense at times we struggled, continuing to allow access to the paint and the rim too easily. But I will say this, we were much better in the second half, and I thought that was a key to the game. I thought at halftime, 44-37, both teams are really playing good offense. Which team's going to really, make a difference on the defensive end? And in that second 4-minute game, from the 16 to the 12, I think it was 8, and we pushed it to 18. And I think when you go back and look at a lot of that, it's going to be stops to transition to good offense, and it's just going to be classic, the way we've always won. And I thought we did a good job of that. Defensive player of the game was Carter. Really good to see. Puts a smile on my face, just because to see him buy into the floor and to get 9 deflections, it's pretty incredible. And as I told you last media, I don't think he's done improving, and I stand by that. And I think he's going to continue. His confidence is growing, and if he continues to develop and improve in the way that he's doing, you're going to see somebody that's continually getting better.
Coach, along that same thing with Carter, obviously the numbers speak for themselves. I think he had 3 rebounds and 3 assists the first 90 seconds or something like that today. But and he had the 5 turnovers, but I think not all turnovers are created equal. It seemed like a couple of those, maybe it was the receivers not being in a position where they probably should have been or whatever. So he's still, you don't want him to lose that confidence when you see 5 turnovers, because that wasn't really the 5 turnovers we might see from Carter a month ago or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, and those are the ones you got to look at on film. He threw a couple at transition that you got to see, like, did he put it on the hands? A couple of low bounce passes in transition. The one to Ben, it looked to me like Ben probably could have caught that, but that's where you go back on the film and you look at it. There's a certain creativity to Carter's game that you got to let flow, and I think in the year and a half that he and I have been together, it's the compromise of, hey, listen, I want you to be in free space and I want you to go, but here are the things that I need you to do. And I think the big battle with he and I on that is just, I want feet on the ground. And as long as feet are on the ground and you have the power to pivot, you have the power to stop, instead of launching and going in the air. And once you launch, you have to make a decision, and it's a rush decision. I just want you to play with feet on the ground. And I told him this after it was after a recent game. It was probably after Anderson, of like, he's just better when he's just playing downhill. You know, him walking it up and him playing slower. Like, he's got to get into his feet and then play off of that aggression. But then he's got to continue to develop stopping. And I think there's still some plays where he can get that ball in the paint and play off a pivot, and now he can play the whole floor. You know, I think he, in a Barkley situation or a back down situation at the point spot, or at the 2 spot, wherever he's at, you know, we saw Mike Boxwell make a living on that stuff. I think that's really, really hard to defend. So, you know, yeah, if to me, Scott, dead ball or live ball turnovers, those are big, big, big. I mean, you look at the press. I mean, we threw it to him on the inbound for a layup, and then we get out it, and we throw it right to him at half court. Like, those are killers. When you throw a pass in transition, trying to hunt for a layup, and we miss it and it goes out of bounds, you at least get to set your defense. And, you know, but listen, I'll take 5 turnovers if I get 5 points. You get 4 steals, you get 9 deflections, right? You get 5 for 9 from the floor. He only took 1 3. He made all his free throws, and he got his 5 rebounds. And, you know, I think, hey, listen, I think it's a testament to humility of me asking him early in the week to quit putting so much pressure on himself shooting the ball from the perimeter. Like, walk out on the court instead of having that burden, like, can I make these shots? Yes, you can make them, but, like, what's your strength? You know, like, what's the best thing you do? And let's go live in that. And then if you get some 10-toe threes that you're stepping into on the line, let's shoot them. But, like, let's make 80% of our game what you do. And I think that's why he's playing the way he's playing. He's playing in his strengths.
I don't really ask your players about this, but this is, I don't know, it's probably my definition to something that you always aim for. But watching the game even more today than Wednesday, it seemed to me that you had that sort of perfect combination of being intense and concentrating, yet at the same time being relaxed and loose. That's a situation where you unlock all the weapons in your arsenal when everybody plays like that. And maybe I get that from looking through a camera for part of the game, but that was just the vibe I got from the minute the game started.
This game's impossible without confidence. And, you know, how do you get it is something that many philosophers will argue and debate and discuss. Who gives it, who receives it, who gets it, how do you get it? You can't play this game without confidence. And you have to earn it, right? Confidence is earned, not given. And you got to do the things necessary to get that confidence. You got to play inside your strengths, right? You got to believe in your strengths. You got to believe in your gifts. You got to depend on one another, understanding, hey, the more connected we are, that's going to build our confidence, because we don't have this feeling that we have to go do it all, but we can depend on one another. And I think what we have to aim for is like, hey, I don't always like the word loose, because it feels to me like a lack of focus, but we've got to have a confidence about us that if we're willing to play the values and we're willing to play to the things that we've done for years around here, that we should go out there with confidence, right? Like, but you know what? If we're going to dribble around and take tough shots and try to go play hero ball, and we're not making shots, and we got guys in the 20s and the teens continuing to shoot a bunch of shots, let me tell you what happens to confidence. You don't need any philosophers for that, okay? Like, it goes down. But all of a sudden, when you start seeing the back cuts and you start seeing the open threes and the right guys are taking the shots and the ball's moving and they're working together, then all of a sudden what happens is, like, you do relax. You don't go out there and say, hey, I'm going to relax, therefore I'm going to play well. You make a decision to go play connected and to play the values, and you get in there and you realize, hey, you know what? I don't feel like I got to go make all this work. And then you get in it and you're like, man, this is a little bit more fun, and we're getting good shots. And then you feed off each other, and that's the synergy that nobody will ever be able to quantify in this game. And, you know, but when you have it, and when a team has it, everybody watching knows it. And listen, we've been fighting like hell to get there. And we're not going to stop. And I'm proud of our guys for staying the fight and having the humility to look it dead in the face and confront the brutal facts, but have unwavering faith. And they played like that today. And we got 20-point scorer sitting over there in a sweatsuit still. And so now all of a sudden we get him working back. He practiced yesterday. You know, he's in my office early this morning. like all of a sudden hey, we're not done. I mean, there's a lot of people wanted to count us out. You know, what's wrong with them? You know, is this a lull? What's going on? Like, hey, this group in these walls has been fighting, and they've been trying to figure this thing out. And all of a sudden, we feel way different than we did 7 days ago. And it's no different than us just committing to our values, and we've got a long season in front of us.
You've started the same lineup the past 2 games, and that's sort of set the stage for you the rest of the game. What's the advantage of having a guy like Ben Vanderwall in your starting lineup? You know, he had 4 offensive rebounds, and as a team, I would say, going back to the second half of the Chattanooga game, I thought battled on offensive glass really good, and that carried over to the Citadel in this game. Just talk about that feature, the offensive rebounding in particular, and what his influence on that.
I thought Ben played incredibly hard at Greensboro and at Chattanooga, and you know, there's a couple things that I feel like are non-negotiables. When you're not playing as well as you want to, if you're gonna have any shot to fix it, you got to go back to your convictions. And I've always believed that the team that plays the hardest and plays with the most energy and plays with the most connection is probably gonna win the game. And it was literally like, hey, we scored 58 points. We're 0-2 in the league. We've lost 3 in a row. This doesn't look like a Furman team. The ball's not moving. We're taking tough shots. We're not getting back in transition. And it was just a blind, like, hey, I'm gonna go on effort, and I'm gonna infuse some more effort in this lineup, and I'm gonna play the 5 hardest playing guys we have, and I'm gonna make sure we have enough spacers out here, and we're gonna see if we can improve our effort and our connectivity, and at the same time make our scheme work a little bit better by putting some more playmakers out there. And I think the combination of all that has helped us. And you know, look, we talked about Carter a lot. You know, I think the same thing true is with Ben. Like, Ben worked really hard this summer to work on his shot, and he poured into it. And he came in here in November and October and September, and he wanted to be a starter. And you know what? Bless the kid's heart. Like, he's got appendicitis, he's got surgery, you know, goes through all this, wasn't starting, and then on top of all that, like, couldn't make a shot. But the winning DNA that he has, right, if you'll just focus on that, then at the end of the day, you can affect a game. He's a +8 tonight, okay? He runs, he cuts, he moves it, he competes, he defends, he chases balls down. Like, we got some scores out there. We scored 82 points tonight, and we shot 44% from the floor, right? We don't need 5 guys out there trying to get 20, right? We need some guys that, and you know what? How many threes has he taken in the last 2 games, right? Took 1 wide open one tonight, which was a great shot, right? I think he took 1 maybe in the Citadel game. So now he gets to release that burden. Don't worry about it. Play to your strengths, right? Like, have the humility to go out there and do what you do best. And so tonight we played him 35 minutes, right? Like, that's the value of having guys that just understand winning. And this didn't necessarily go into the decision. The decision was already made. He sent me a text, I think on Sunday night. It was really late. I mean, it was like really late. And I woke up to it, and it was about this long. And it basically was like, I need to just commit to playing and winning and being who I am, and I got to give up all this other stuff. And I apologize for focusing on all this other stuff. And I promise you, I just want to get to the tournament, and I just want to win a championship. And that's the only focus I'm going to have here going forward. And the way the conviction and the authenticity in the text, you just knew, like, hey, his mind's in the right place. And man, all of a sudden, like, it looks like he's having a little fun out there, doesn't it? You know, it looks like it's like Ben's back, right? And you know, that's what we have to do. Like, we can't worry about all the outside stuff. Like, we've just stayed the course, helping these kids grow, giving them the truth, but showing them how they can get there, right? And giving them some hope. And you know, it was a decision to put him in the lineup to get another cutter in there, right? And then get some shooters out there, and then let's go play. And then all of a sudden, you know, we scored 82 the past 2 games, and you know, I thought we kind of got a little sloppy there later. We could have had, you know, higher in the 80s, but you know, I think it's obviously working with him out there playing championship basketball.
Coach, I want to talk about 2 plays tonight. The first one,
I know what you're about to ask me, Tyrese. No?
Well, that's
That's second?
part two.
Okay.
The first one, I was gonna say, the first bucket of the game, I don't know, I didn't know where Carter Whip was throwing it, and I don't know how Alex Williams made it. But you start a game like that, gets this big crowd involved, I'm sure, gives the kids already a confidence coming off the game the other night, got more confidence doing that. And then to end the game, his feed to Tyrese, who makes that bucket, fouls out their big guy who had nine rebounds, 4 blocks, 10 points. As you're trying to close this thing out, obviously taking that guy out of the equation helps.
Yeah, I mean, it's, I think we got a back cut, and I think we got Ben on another back cut there to start the game. And, you know, it just was one of those situations again, like, this is what we do. And that's where Carter's exceptional. His vision is, sometimes he can see and others can't, you know, and that's his gift. And I thought the same thing. I saw A. Will cutting, and I thought, man, that's gonna be a tight window. But he let him, and then A. Will made an unbelievably talented play. You know, I give A. Will a lot of credit too. I mean, A. Will gets 20.7 rebounds, does it on 13 shots, goes 3 for 4 from 3. I thought he let me coach him in terms of his shot selection. I think he's really trying to do better there. And I think that efficiency right there, you know, he gets 20 points on 13 shots, goes 3 for 4 from 3. Like, just let it come to you, right? And you know, he had a lot of our bad shots in the Citadel game. Not many, not nearly as many as we had in Chattanooga, but he's been so much more coachable there, and I can see him really trying there. We really challenged him defensively, and I see Seymour as a talent, and man, is he good, you know. And for us to go a little bit smaller and for him to have to guard Seymour, we knew he was going to be stressed, and you know, I thought he was pretty locked in, you know. And so I think it's you know, they got some good players, man. I mean, Peterson came out, I felt like he couldn't miss, you know, banged those 2 threes, he was putting a lot of pressure on the rim. They're huge, and you know, I thought going with A. Will at the 4, we knew we were going to have to fight and scrap like heck on the glass, and we won the boards by 4, and I thought that was a big key to the game.
Do you think when with 4:20 to go, Alex missed 1 free throw at that time? You had only missed 1 in the entire game. I think it was 24, 25, 20, something like that. Do you think that free throw effectiveness is a symptom of a game when you have that intangibles, when the balance is just right? Do you think that teams that louse up with the free throw, they're probably just sort of an after? It shows you're concentrating when you knock down almost all your free throws.
Yeah, I think it's all connected. You know, like when you're playing in rhythm and you're playing in synergy, and you get a back cut, and you get fouled, right? You go in that huddle, everybody feels good. You know, they fouled us on a couple of 3-pointers tonight, but it's not like we just dribble down and just bounce shot. You know, I think all that flows together. Like, does this feel like we're getting this stuff in the way we want to get it, or does this feel really difficult? And you know, I think our team they've just relaxed. You know, I think they've decided to play, you know, to the values and to how all of our teams have played through the ball movement. I think they're starting to see the result of it. And look, we got good shooters. You know, like, it's I know some people doubted that for a little bit of a stretch, but we know internally we've got good shooters, and it's really about playing the percentages and making sure the right guys are getting the right shots. And then now all of a sudden you got those guys attacking, and then everything just feels better. You know, like our faces, you know, except for that last little stretch there when the gym got super quiet and our faces are kind of like, what's going on? And, you know, we're throwing it to them on the prep. Outside of that, I thought we just had a really good countenance about us. And, you know, that's something we've got to continue to work on and continue to be better there.
Coach, could you just talk about Legends Day? And I think it stretches back to when Nico was here, but just the atmosphere surrounding it and just what, you know, how special that is to kind of implement that into the program that wasn't really, I don't know, the past several years before that, I don't know if it was a part of the program.
Yeah, so we started Legends Weekend when I was an assistant. That was an initiative that Nico brought here. And, you know, it was no secret when Nico got the job, you know, the program was pretty fragmented. And I don't say that in spite of anything. I think it was just, you know, however it got to that point, you know, it was just kind of where it was. And Nico's big charge was, hey, I want to really reconnect with past teams and past players. I want this to be about the players. And, you know, know, that includes getting players back to campus, making them feel a part of this, giving players a great experience with a great degree, teaching them life lessons, so now they feel a part of it, they want to be back. And you know, the most rewarding thing about Legends Weekend, one, we brought the 1974 team back, so we had 5 players from 1974 here today, and you know, to see Clyde Mays, to see Bill Prevost, Bud Byerly, Gary Clark, to see Jeff, all those players coming back to continue that pride and the tradition, you know, of what they were able to do and winning a game in the tournament and connecting all that. But the other pride part of it is guys that weren't really connected, you know, how they've come back and attached to it, you know, and they've made this their own, you know, and to see Paul Foster on the baseline every single game, you know, and what this program means to him and his attachment to the program, and to see Daniel Fowler back here today and Andrew Brown sitting on the baseline and Andrew Brown working for Paul Foster, and you know, it's just neat, you know. And even when you go through the short scale of, you know, what we went through a couple weeks ago in the month of December and things not going our way and not what we wanted it, you've always got to pull out and say, hey, why do we do what we do? And don't let short-sightedness get you off of what we do. And it's what I told myself this morning, like, you know, obviously, you know, it's a big game. Brooks has done a great job, and those guys are competing. And you saw tonight, they didn't quit. Like, they kept battling. We just got to go coach and lead well, you know, and that's sometimes with emotions of it, that can be hard to do, you know, especially when you're losing. But we got to lead well, and we've got to understand what our mission is, and to go out and help them and to show them the confidence and the command and the composure that they need to have, and just be a great example for them. And you know, that's what we try to do. And it's neat to see how the program is all reconnected back. And you know, you sit in the stand or you look up in the stands, you see former players everywhere. And you know, Hal Henderson here today. I mean, I can go through the line. I'm gonna forget people. Jeff Beams here. Like, they're just all walking around. This is theirs. And as long as I'm the head coach here, this will always be theirs. This is a players program, and we want them always to feel like this is always home. We had former players at pregame meal. We had grandchildren at pregame meal. Like, we had a whole ton of people at shoot around and walk through this morning. You know, Darren had coffee and donuts. Like, be here, you know. And if you're a former player looking at this and you don't take advantage of that, like, come back, you know, like, be a part of this and feel like this is home. This is your locker room, right? This is your program, and we want everybody to always feel part of that. All right, great Saturday afternoon.